It is no question that Playboi Carti and Kanye top the list as some of the most, if not the most, influential musical artists and fashion icons in the world. But what if I told you the two actually planned on teaming up at one point in time for their very own tour? And what some believed, an album as well. Although both are as elusive as it gets when it comes to confirming information on just about any matter, or rather, when they do, fans have come to realize to take such declarations with a grain of salt, considering how many times explicit dates have passed with nothing to show for it. However, with Carti and Kanye's deep-rooted relationship as of more recently, such a concept wouldn't be out of the question, especially with the lengths of creativity each of the artists are willing to go to push contemporary art forward. This is the lost album of Playboi Carti and Kanye West. The relationship between Playboi Carti and Kanye has actually been relatively short in the grand scheme of their careers, at least publicly that is, although both of their actions present that there was a deeper connection than the average celebrity collaboration. Technically, the two met long before they finally agreed to partner up, as a picture of them taken during Playboi Carti's Cash Carti SoundCloud era circa 2017 exists on the internet. At the time, Playboi Carti was still fresh in the newly bubbling hip-hop scene at the mere age of 19 or 20, depending on the date of the photograph, and therefore, he and the already proven hip-hop legend Kanye West varied greatly in their respective levels of career. It just wasn't the right time, nor did the idea to join forces even likely cross their minds. It would take over 3 years for the stars to align for the duo, for in late 2020, approaching Playboi Carti's first mainstream contending studio album's release of Whole Lotta Red, that his cult-like fanbase had been eagerly waiting for over 2 years, DJ Akademiks announces on his Twitch livestream, among other significant details, that Kanye West would be the executive producer alongside Matthew Williams of Givenchy of the highly anticipated project. Kanye would also feature on the track Go to the Moon, one of the only 3 artists cleared to feature on the album, accompanied by Future and Kid Cudi. A track that was allegedly set up by mutual friend A$AP Bari, or so he claimed on his Instagram story, after playing an unreleased Kanye song produced by Weezy to Carti one day. From the sound of it, Carti recorded on it soon after. And if this is true, the whole trajectory of the album shifted. For in all likelihood, Kanye wasn't even the executive producer of the album just yet, nor did he give any input on the track list, creative direction, or rollout that finally commenced on Christmas Day of 2020. Not to mention the beginning of a dynamic relationship of 2 musical geniuses. A few months later, at the beginning of March 2021, in an exclusively print dialogue with Interview magazine, Playboi Carti showcased the method behind his madness of Whole Lotta Red with Kid Cudi, claiming that Kanye is the OG. He opened my eyes. When I got around him, I realized why I love him so much. You get what I'm saying? When I get around you, I realize why I love you so much. I even appreciate Ye for introducing me and you. Being able to talk to somebody who understands what I'm saying, I got that from his whole camp. I felt that energy from everybody he deals with. I didn't feel like a loner. The world I'm trying to build, he already got it going on. Ye's on this King Vamp. Cudi is on this King Vamp. Y'all already on that. Obviously, Carti saw a part of his future self in Kanye, and it's never made more sense. Less than a month later, more pictures of the duo surfaced online suspected to be taken on Kanye's property in Wyoming. Although this was believed to be a separate excursion than pre-Whole Lotta Red due to Playboi Carti's different hair color and style from pictures that surfaced months prior. One of Kanye's Yeezy tanks was also used as the vehicle in the Kid Cudi collaboration of Metamorphosis music video on the first track of Whole Lotta Red. Kanye and Lil Uzi Vert's relationship heats up much sooner than the latter, as with most career accomplishments in comparison to Carti due to his earlier start into mainstream attention. Although, much more of a roller coaster of emotions, especially for the fans. Uzi and Kanye's first public appearance together would be in a series of photos that surfaced online in early 2018. Following Uzi's breakout and debut studio album, Love Is Rage 2, that consisted of top 10 Billboard hit EXO Tour Life. Already holding multiple Billboard singles and now a #1 album, it was no surprise that Uzi was meeting the all-time greats of hip-hop, as he was likely to make his own stake in history. Shortly afterwards, Complex caught Uzi at the 2018 Grammy Awards held in New York City to ask him about his relationship with Kanye, in which he hinted at various projects in the works ever since he entered the music industry, although not necessarily all music.
You've been with Ye a lot as of recently. Ye's been cheesing very hard in photos. What's happening? Are you guys working on something? What's going on?
Me and Ye been working ever since Lil Uzi ever existed in his music career. I always knew Ye. So we got like hundreds of stuff, but trying to get it together.
Hundreds of stuff, hundreds of songs, hundreds.
Stuff.
What is stuff?
Stuff means it rounds about to anything that you could think of.
Okay. So a lot of music then.
All types of stuff.
Being signed to Generation Now, co-owned by DJ Drama and Don Cannon, who were already established and well-connected producers and DJs in their respective era, had its perks. For early on in Uzi's career, he would already collaborate with other legendary producers such as the likes of Kanye and Pharrell Williams. Later that year, Uzi and Kanye would release their first collaboration titled Watch, although technically Travis Scott was the primary artist on the track. But at the time, Travis Scott was signed to Kanye's Good Music record label through a publishing deal. In another interview at the Grammys with MTV, Uzi explained how he learned a thing or two from Kanye regarding shopping for the family.
Well, you were recently pictured with Kanye West going shopping.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, what is shopping with Kanye like?
He's never thinking about himself.
Okay.
It's weird. I thought he was gonna be grabbing everything. He was grabbing everything for his family.
It's like,
At that
why does he
moment,
need
I
to shop?
realized gotta swag out the whole family.
Did he pick?
We wouldn't see or hear from Uzi and Kanye again for years after this collab, although certainly busy with their own music and fashion projects, including Lil Uzi Vert's most famous album to date, Eternal Atake, that was set to release in the forthcoming months that ended up turning into years. But tension between the two would seemingly turn for the worst when Kanye began rolling out his highly anticipated album titled Donda in 2021 with a series of listening parties held in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium located in Atlanta, Georgia. Kanye recruited all the stars in hip-hop to collaborate on this project and showcase it to the world in close to real time, as Ye quite literally lived in the stadium for weeks with many of the artists who featured on the project in order to record and touch up the final products before release. Only thing is, Lil Uzi Vert was left off of this list, despite being more successful and influential than most of the artists invited, including Kanye's new frequent collaborator, Playboi Carti, who Uzi had a publicly on-again, off-again friendship with. Now, there is no confirmation that Uzi was purposely omitted from the album, nor that Carti had anything to do with it. However, there is no doubt that Uzi felt some sort of resentment, especially when Kanye, Playboi Carti, and 5 Foreign's track on Donda, titled Off the Grid, played for the public the first time. Not to mention other unreleased songs featuring Carti recorded in the stadium gaining traction on social media around this time too, such as 24 songs. And I can't blame him. You couldn't use the internet in the days before Donda without discovering new music and outrageous outfits recorded from Kanye's listening parties. And as with most people, potential hypocrisies shine through Kanye's actions, considering his devout commitment to Christianity in the years prior. During one of the events, Lil Uzi Vert tweets, "Kanye a fake pastor," poking fun at his relatively new behavior and outward attempts to spread the message of Jesus Christ in not only his music, but other events such as his weekly Sunday services. Perhaps Uzi's statements also reference Kanye's newfound relationship with Carti, who so openly represents satanic and/or demonic imagery in his brand. Although, fans simply assumed Uzi was spiteful of Kanye, as aforementioned, for not being invited to the Donda festivities, to which Uzi yet again replies with a joke throwing shade at Kanye's new covered-faced fashion statement that he also shared with those around him, such as Kim Kardashian and his new protege, Carti. Donda officially releases on all platforms at the end of August 2021 and would later be scrutinized against Kanye's heavyweight competitor, Drake, who would release his own album, Certified Lover Boy. Uzi seemed to have taken advantage of this feud, whether he meant it or not, For in a group chat with his fans, he continued to berate Kanye publicly, declaring that his last album, Donda, sucked. Around this time in October 2021, Uzi also posted a video on his Instagram story stating Kanye simply isn't on his level.
On some real shit, Kanye West ain't doing me. It's me. Like for real though, it's really me. Like I ain't gonna lie, like when I be making them songs and them songs only go platinum once, I do that on purpose. I swear by...
Knowing Uzi's playful nature though, and obvious sarcasm at the end of this clip regarding only going platinum once, for all we know, his statements this whole time could have been a joke to garner attention and or stir up controversy just for fun. Kanye responds on Twitter, "I love Uzi. I be saying the same thing about Steve Jobs. I be feeling just like Uzi," shutting down any chances of the two actually having any issues with each other. 1 year later, more photographs of the two would surface under a positive light, even sharing matching tattoos alongside Steve Lacy. Uzi would also model for the new Yeezy Gap Year 3022 Shades campaign. One album wasn't enough for Kanye's tribute to his deceased mother, Donda, though. For early the next year, in February of 2022, Kanye hosted another live listening party for the sequel, Donda 2, in Miami, Florida. However, to this day, has still yet to release on all streaming platforms, although is pretty easy to find online due to Kanye providing the music files for stem player purchasers that he sold at the event, and eventually these tracks spread throughout the hip-hop community. One song of which held particular significance, titled Mr. Miyagi, featuring Future and Playboi Carti. Except for the Donda 2 live show, during the unveiling of the new track, Playboi Carti unlocked a new version of his King Vamp character, similar to that of Kiss and other metal rock bands of the last century, wearing a full face of white paint. Kanye was likely impressed with Carti's dedication to his image and choice of style, bringing a level of mystique that artists have lost in today's world. 5 days later, Playboi Carti reveals text messages from Kanye expressing his interest in going on tour with him after the synergy of their Donda 2 performances. Fans were ecstatic for their collab tour, for Kanye hadn't been on a nationwide tour since St. Pablo in 2016. Not to mention, the frenzy Playboi Carti still had in motion coming off of his widely publicized King Vamp tour, originally titled Narcissist. Although they knew the chances of the plans actually coming into full fruition would be abysmal, considering both artists' habits of gauging interest online for ideas and eventually canceling. Or just trolling in general. A couple months passed with little to no word from Carti or Ye confirming if the tour was actually happening. On May 12, 2022, an Instagram rumor page posts an anonymous submission potentially giving further details, stating explicitly,
"Two well-known hip-hop artists share a similar story and are joining forces together to create an album. Both have been seen in and out of the studio together, and artist number 2 has scrapped the original concept prior to the team-up."
With the subject of the message stating narcissistic forces at work, and under the pseudonyms Pablo Narcissist, referring to each of the artist's aliases, Pablo being Kanye, considering his previous The Life of Pablo album released in 2016, and Narcissist being Playboi Carti due to the album concept he was toying with at one point in time before allegedly being scrapped, short-lived tour name, and now clothing line. Of course, this could have just been a troll submitting already public information, seemingly confirming rumors to play a practical joke on millions of people, but perhaps not. For the message mentioned new information too, claiming that the two artists were working on a new album together, which would make sense considering Carti and Ye already have multiple official releases and that they likely already had many collaborations finished from the Donda recording sessions. Kanye's original interest in a tour with Playboi Carti from the text messages also indicates that they had more music together in the vault, since why would you go on a tour with another artist with so little of a public shared discography? A second form was submitted through the blog, outright listing the names Kanye and Carti in the subject line, stating,
"Going with the post from earlier, I can confirm I've been in the studio with them multiple times while they have worked on the album. It's a very experimental album with heavy rock elements. Should be coming in the next 2 months from what I've been told."
Obviously, it has been more than 2 months since this submission and still no album. However, other details from the second message make sense, such as experimental heavy rock elements that Playboi Carti has been utilizing since Whole Lotta Red, even up to as recent as Rolling Loud LA in March 2023, when he previewed an unreleased track produced by Filthy that is allegedly on the upcoming album. But yet again, without any concrete proof, both submissions still render as simply just rumors, teasing a dream. The year is 2023, and all aspirations for a Playboi Carti and Kanye tour have been lost and forgotten. Not because of the lack of interest, but because as time passes, the likelihood of it actually happening grows smaller and smaller. Fans begin to speculate if the tour and album were even real in the first place, as Playboi Carti has already lied about various music releases, including but not limited to a deluxe album of Whole Lotta Red, and a totally new project suspected to be titled Narcissist, that he was willing to forego all sample clearances just for the listeners. Oh, and we mustn't forget the latest debacle that landed Carti behind bars for a short period of time after soft announcing something on the way. Kanye is definitely not innocent either, as he also has a poor reputation with following through on release dates and album concepts, such as the long-lost Yandhi project, among others. But thankfully, in late February of 2023, we finally got some answers. In a fairly discreet Discord server, a user informed its participants that the Kanye and Carti tour was called Introvert, went through many creative changes and ideas, was supposed to span like 20 to 25 weeks. Another user added that the tour was canceled now, unfortunately. And to make matters worse, a reputable member in the community affirmed these statements, citing that Uzi was also going to join the Introvert tour at one point too. And lastly, the original poster confirmed the information, replying that in June of 2022, Uzi was tagged as a special guest, somewhat aligning with the original rumor blog submission in May of 2022 that the album and/or tour would release a couple months after, which would land around July, only 1 month after the newly leaked intel. And while Uzi and Kanye may have had their fair share of issues in the past, similar to this tweet, more recently, Kanye has openly declared in a now private interview with Drink Champs that Uzi and Carti are the future.
Uzi the future. Uzi. I just need to tell you that. Lil Uzi.
Little Uzi.
Lil Uzi, like, remember I said future?
Yes, you said it on here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got a couple.
Well, really, you know what it is? It's always two. It's always two at a time. You know what I mean? It's really Carti and Uzi.
Therefore, all the information we have presented thus far from various sources all make sense and are very possible. Although, per usual, nothing is confirmed. But that's exactly what makes these artists special. A couple weeks later, a credible news source for all things Kanye, Donda's Place, releases the proposed poster marketing strategy from summer of 2022 for the aforementioned Introvert tour that would reportedly consist of simple introvert text over hundreds of images associated with each of the artists involved. But with Lil Uzi Vert and Playboi Carti rolling out their respective highly anticipated solo projects, Pink Tape and Untitled, the Introvert tour simply wouldn't make sense financially, as it would only delay the rollout for their own tours and revenue. Besides, their once strong friendship early on in their careers just hasn't been the same, proven by Uzi's most recent lyrics at Rolling Loud stating, and given Kanye's recent outbursts and various podcast appearances, perhaps this year isn't the best time to try to sell anything to the public. Not to mention the potential loss for Carti and Uzi's brand in associating with Kanye's strong remarks right now, whether they agreed or not. And so, if I was a betting man, which sometimes I am, I'd say the Introvert tour has lived up to its name and secluded back into just being another idea that never fully played out.